The Big Dark, Peace in Innsmouth. Part 1. 1950. The sun hasn't risen since June 1939. Fallen angels and demons run wild across the world. A world war broke out and is ended when the United States dropped their new atomic bomb on the German city of Cologne. The war is won, but at what cost? A task force is set up to eliminate the demonic menace within the U.S. to great success. America is declared fallen free, but the truth is not so black and white.
It's March in rural Massachusetts. The rain lashes our car as we drive towards our destination. My assistant and I have taken a week away from Miskatonic University in Arkham to visit a curious little town I have heard of on the coast called Innsmouth. My assistant is a curious young thing named Clara. Why she is studying under me is anyone's guess. She seems a more adventurous type, but she is very hardworking and has earned her place by my side. I am a professor of anthropology at the aforementioned Institute of Higher Learning. My area of expertise is pre-modern communities. Innsmouth has been rumored to still be living in a pre-turn-of-the-century state. It should be fascinating to visit such a backwards place.
Professor, are you sure this place is going to be interesting? From what I hear, it's just a bunch of fishermen.
Clara, my dear, I assure you this trip will be illuminating. Even if they are an enclave of subsistence fishermen, it will be interesting to see why they haven't been dragged into this century. Not to mention, we'll see how they're coping with the darkness without modern amenities. About a decade ago, the world had changed. A permanent darkness engulfed the world, and the fallen angels with their evil minions invaded from beyond. For a while there was anarchy, then war, but now a certain peace has come over the planet. No fallen has been seen since the end of the war. Rumors of evils in the Soviet state persist, but none have been confirmed. Overall, the world has gotten back to a semblance of normalcy.
You don't think there'll be fallen or demons here, do you?
Oh, Clara, you know there hasn't been a fallen on U.S. soil in years. As for demons, well, they say they're everywhere. It's impossible to tell them from regular people. Clara, I am sure, had read the newspaper reports on the demons. They were the offspring of fallen in man, and if some of the newspapers were to be believed, represented a fifth column within the U.S. ready to strike. Of course, as an anthropologist, I knew that if these beings did exist, they were probably much less organized as a force than that. They were probably even ignorant of their past, and as an increasingly large segment of humanity has become. The war had created many parentless children. I would never say this out loud, however. Even the most liberal of academics weren't about to get the government looking into their past, looking for fallen sympathies or demon heritage.
Look, Professor, in the distance I can see lights. I thought you said they didn't have electricity.
That isn't electric lights. Those look like bonfires along the coast. You can just make out the shape of the town, silhouetted by them.
Some kind of festival? In the rain?
We shall see, child. We shall see. We pull into a small town and observe that it's seen better times. The age and lack of technological advancement was catching up on the place. The buildings hang in crooked angles, looking to lie down. The place is set upon a hill that leads down to the docks, where the fishing boats that keep the place alive dwell. The fires we saw from a distance are burning down there, on the beaches. I'll have to inquire of them once we get settled. The rest of the town is lit by candles in some of the buildings, but most are dark. In the center of town can be seen a church or other meeting place that rises above the other dilapidated buildings and has candles burning bright in all the windows. We pull up to what says it is an inn, but doesn't seem to be overly used. Stay close, Clara. I'm sure this place is safe, but one never knows.
Please, Professor, I can take care of myself. You get us some rooms and settled while I have a quick look around. I'll let you know if I see anything interesting.
I watch Clara go off as I grab our baggage and head into the inn. The women of these modern times are becoming so headstrong. In my youth, a girl of Clara's age would never act this way. Oh well, I guess it is the way of things. Women have had to become like this since the Big Dark and the war. It's also amazing that in just a decade people have become so used to the eternal night. Back in the day, a young woman wouldn't go anywhere after dark without an escort. For the youth of Clara's age, the dark is just second nature. She was but a girl when the night fell. and she's grown up in the dark. I enter the inn and hope that Clara can indeed take care of herself. The inn is as dingy inside as it is out. I just hope the accommodations will be adequate. I look for the innkeeper, but no one is around. I wait at the desk, but no one appears, and I'm about to shout out when I hear a voice from the office area behind the desk. It is faint, but it definitely sounded like a scream that was cut off.
Oh, dear.
I put our bags down and peek my head into the office. I'm not a young man, and I think I should go looking for assistance, but I fought in the war, and some of that old bravado comes back to me. The room is dark, but I can make out a staircase leading down into what only can be some sort of cellar. A weak light drifts up from below. I creep towards the stairs, probing for the new sounds. I hear what sounds like meat being dropped onto a block, and the thought that the noise was just of exertion and not of pain enters my mind. The innkeeper is probably just preparing the evening meal. I'll just go down and introduce myself, I think. And yet, I still silently creep down the stairs. My mind and fear separate in the situation.
You will tell me.
Never.
I gasp, and I can't help but call out as a large brute of a man beats a tied-up old man mercilessly. What is the meaning of this? I demand you let that poor old man go. I realize my mistake as two other brutes grab me, and their leader turns to look at me.
You're obviously not from around here.
Yes, help! These thugs are assaulting me.
Oh, shut up. Who are you? Why are you in Innsmouth?
I think of trying to resist, to run, but the men are strong and I am old. I have been caught. I hope Clara is in better straits than I am. Clara was, in fact, fine at this point. She had left me and walked through the dark streets. Most of the shops were boarded up, but she eventually finds herself a small curiosity shop. The door tinkles with shells as she enters. An old woman behind the counter looks up and scowls at first, and then looks surprised.
Who are you?
Hello. How are you? Nice place you have here.
Clara looks at the various trinkets she can see. Most of the wares are curios, made from the sea or parts of ships. There is a layer of dust on most things, implying the woman doesn't have many clients.
Why are you here? You're not from Innsmouth.
No, we've come from Miskatonic to look around at your village. How much for this brooch? It's very pretty.
You don't understand, child. You're in danger. The men at the church, they'll be after you.
The old woman looks scared, and finally Clara starts to pay attention to what is going on.
After me? Why?
Because you are young, and you look fertile.
Clara doesn't like the sound of that, but her inner quest for adventure perks up. After all, she is a modern woman. She lived through the dark and the war. No backwater churchy is going to get to her.
This church. Why do they want fertile women? And where is it?
The old woman reluctantly told Clara everything she wanted to know. She leaves the little store filled with righteous anger. She starts walking towards the church in the middle of the town, but now sticking to the building and watching out for trouble. She no longer is a tourist or even a budding anthropologist. Now she is out for blood.
Dagon, here I come.
Meanwhile, I tell my captors who I am, without mentioning Clara, and they explain themselves.
Well, Professor, you walked into a hornet's nest this time. My name is Peace, and we're in the Black Spiral Division.
I've never heard of you.
Good. We like it that way. We're a government agency sent to hunt down the fallen. This here little old innkeeper killed 2 of my men with his bare hands before we bound him. And now he's going to tell us what he's doing in Innsmouth.
Please, stop hitting him, sir. If you want information, I will be able to get it from him. I was a bit of an expert during the war. Peace just looks at me, incredulously, as I shoo him and his men out of the cellar. He warns me not to release the fallen, like I have to be told of that. I then go to work getting the required information out of the thing that was once an old innkeeper. Meanwhile, Clara is getting her own information at the Church of Dagon. She sneaks up to the large structure, which looks much more menacing up close.
Seems quiet enough.
Clara is a brave girl, but even her courage falters this close to evil. She can feel it waft off the large church building. Here is the center of Innsmouth's corruption. She decides that caution is the better part of valor and backs away from the building. She rightfully thinks it's best to find me and let me know what is going on there. As she turns to go, 2 men in greenish robes stand quietly watching her. She jumps, but then quickly regains her composure.
Hello, boys. Nice night for it.
To be continued.
Hey, Jack.
Hey, Rob.
Funny meeting you here.
In the studio, in front of the mic. It's uncanny.
It's not a regular occurrence anymore. Ever since Studio H got shut down for, well, things.
Violations. Health code violations. You know how it is.
Ever since that happened, it's not been as regular.
Speaking of regular, you regularly update your Twitter account.
I call it our Twitter account because it's Vinland OTR.
And what does that stand for, Rob?
Vinland Old Time Radio. That's this little podcast we do. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Have not.
That's funny because you recorded it. Oh, I didn't tell you were recording?
No, this is just me being me. Anyways, so if someone would want to follow your Twitter account.
Our Twitter account.
How would they do that?
At Vinland OTR.
Fantastic. And people who don't want to follow our Twitter account, who are on Twitter, you make baby Jesus cry. Live with that.
At Vinland OTR. 2 N's in Vinland. It's not Vineland, it's Vinland. If you can't spell, we don't want you.